Hey guys, Skills here. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to last longer in SCP Secret Laboratory. I'll be going over different tips and tricks to achieve this. Now, before we start the video, I just want to let y'all know that I make these videos to help you guys. So if you could return the favor by subscribing, that would be amazing and would make my day. Anyways, let's get into the video. Yup, I'm not kidding. Especially if you're a guard with D class. You can't trust them. Believe me, I would know. But seriously, depending on the server, they can and will kill you if given the chance. So always ask them to surrender so they can't kill you. But if they haven't yet, be aware of what they're doing and pray that you can aim. And pray that they can't aim. But sometimes they can. There are exceptions to this tip though. Some people are more trustworthy than others, so you could bring your guard down a little more. Yeah, see what I did there? Speaking of being aware, this may seem obvious, but some people just don't pay attention. Like, come on. And maybe you don't either, which gets you killed very fast. Always try to be aware of where you are and who you're with. Maybe turn your volume up too. Well, then Cassie might start being super loud, but just bear with him. This will help you hear things better, such as 173 trying to sneak up on you. This will also let you flick around and look at him before he snaps you, if he does end up behind you. Doing this will greatly improve your chances at survival. Knowing what you are dealing with will come in very handy. I covered all the SCPs in another video, so I would recommend watching that first before continuing, as I don't want to explain everything again, but I will go over some basic concepts, which I will cover in a future video, but here we go. First, if you're dealing with MTF, depending on your class, they can either be a huge threat or no threat at all. So say you are 096. You can take out MTF, you can probably take out a wave, but you are limited to a max of 30 seconds. So, if you go into a wave and you cannot hit people, they say like, all of them look at you, you have like 1,000 HP, or maybe more, depending on the server. Yeah, they look at you, but you only have 30 seconds. So, if you kill just a few in that time, then you will die a horrible, bullet-filled death. Because as luck would have it, guns deal damage. So, they all start shooting you, you lose all your health, you die, you're a disappointment to your team, you uninstall the game, you're garbage. Sorry about that. Anyways, they gotta be a huge threat or no threat at all. If they aren't coordinated, then it'll be easy wave to deal with. So they're just a bunch of people with no brain cells, which is like 73.6% of the time. But if they're semi-competent, then you have to be more careful. If it's a bunch of D class though, start signing your will. Good positioning in gunfights with current mechanics. If you saw my last video on the deep dive, you'll know about the movement and accuracy. Will help you stay alive longer during gunfights. Now, this may not always apply, but usually you will need to know this, so listen carefully. 1. Don't stand still. It'll make you an easier target. Now, this may seem obvious, but, don't stay still, because, yeah, it's just don't. 2. Practice. I know, but seriously, if you have better aim, you usually survive most encounters, because not everyone is the best at aiming in this game. So, yeah. 3. Aim for the head. This guarantees higher damage. No, not all situations you need to aim for the head, but most of the time you should, considering it does do more damage. Lastly, depending on the gun you have, find an environment that suits that the best. Example, the E11 is best suited for long to mid-range engagements, so small enclosed spaces aren't the best. Yeah, they can win sometimes, but most of the time, you'll be outgunned by either a P90 or a Logicer. Surface zone or a long corridor will be the best, something in entrance or heavy. There are also other types of positioning, such as when you should be juking SCP. I will talk about that later. moving on. Don't worry, I'm not going to have you memorize each different type of layout or anything. What I mean by layout is your plan for the game, or game plan. What do you want to accomplish during the game? Example, say you're a D class. What would be your first objective, and so on. There are a few different playstyles that encompass this one, which I'll cover in the next tip. Moving on, another thing I mean about layouts is actual locations. Knowing what to do and where to go on spawn will benefit you greatly. Another example, if you spawned as a D class, your first objective would most likely be find a keycard. And there are a few places where keycards spawn, such as PC-15, GR-18, WC, or the bathrooms, and Peanuts Containment, or PT-00, or in lockers in other rooms around a containment. Next, you want to find 914, etc., etc., you get the gist. Now, keycards don't always spawn in the rooms. Somewhere they guarantee a spawn are PC-15, and that's about it. PC-15 guarantees a scientist card spawn on one of the mini desks in the room. So when you come into the room, go straight and just look around, and then when you spot it, go to that, and then and don't be sprinting to it as well, because then you can get the card faster before anyone else. There are many different playstyles that frankly would take me way too long to cover in one video, so I will only talk about a few in this one. First up, we have the I don't like killing, so I really just like to escape playstyle, which is me. This playstyle is more for the pacifist player who doesn't really like killing people and would rather escape than kill. Next up, the screw escaping, I want blood instead playstyle. Basically, every tryhard ever. This is for the player who couldn't care less about escaping. They'd rather kill everyone and everything in sight. Unless they can't KOS. So, maybe not everything, but, you know. There are also the people who don't know really what they're doing. The new player is the person who just got the game and has no idea what is going on. If you encounter a new player, don't ignore them, help them out. They might return the favor. There are also a lot more sub-play styles that I won't cover today, so if you want a video on different play styles, like the video. I believe I've already covered this in a previous video, so if you know which video, good on you. That means you've watched it. But I'll go over it again with some added stuff. Juking is an essential tool in your arsenal, considering it means the difference between life and death. A good way to practice juking is to watch other people do it and learn from them. Not much else to cover with this, but speaking of watching other people, don't be afraid to learn from other people. Watching other people play the game will help you improve the most. Some people may also be willing to help you learn. There are also tutorials for the game, so use those for the fullest. Like mine, or the 2020 guide. And yeah, I probably will be making a 2021 guide soon. So when the update drops, I will be making a 2021 SL guide covering everything you need to know. Everything. So look out for that. This game is a social game, so working together with your teammates is an essential part of the game. First, please don't close doors for no reason. Please, I beg of you, only do it when it's necessary, like running from an SCP. Some servers actually punish you for doing that, so, maybe it's an encouragement to not do it. Secondly, communicate. Communication, especially with Chaos or MTF, can help turn the tide of a game. Well, Chaos usually, because, there's a bunch of guys with logisters, so, but, they can be wiped out. If you can coordinate a wave, you can win the game within 5 minutes of a spawn, so before next spawn. You don't have to be realistic in terms of what you say, but communicating what you are doing and what you should do is very important. Utilize the radio, it's there for a reason. So let me give an example. Say you're a guard, and you're with another guard, and you have like a D-boy, but you don't have cards to get out, and you're waiting for a spawn. You can communicate with that guard across longer distances with the radio. That's what it's for, communicating over long distances. That's why it was invented. So use that so you can cover more area of the facility, or more escapes or choke points with the radio and with your buddy. And when a spawn happens, you get that D-boy out, and boom, you successfully communicated with your teammate. Good job. Lastly, just play the game. Yep, that's the final tip. Nope, it's not a joke. Playing the game is the best way to learn something. The longer you play, the more you discover, and the more you will shape it your own player. These guides are mainly here to help guide you to doing that. That's why we make them, to help new players or returning ones that haven't played the game in a while to get up to speed with what's going on. Well, I hope you learned something from the video. I'll most likely be covering some of the other stuff in more detail, such as the playstyles or game plans, stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. I'll also be covering everything about the gun update when it releases, so stick around for that. Also, quick announcement, I have a second channel. This is where I'm going to be posting stream VODs and highlights, so go subscribe. The first video will be out there today, as well as after this one releases. Anyways, y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.